Yeah, so last class we have discussed regarding H2 in memory database, right? So let me start the server. So the moment you start the server, so H2 database console will be available by default. So you can see here, correctly we have created employee database, right? Employee database which we are connecting right now. You can see there is a properties database URL employee DB. This is a H2 in memory database URL and password admin, sorry, username admin and password admin. So now I'm going to connect H2 database. So we are able to create the database. Now we need to create the table. So to persist the data, we need to create the table in H2 database. So to create the table in H2 in memory database, we need to create one SQL file in resources folder. So src resource folder, right click on resource folder, click on new, then generate SQL file, name it as a uh, schema.sql, schema.sql, schema, schema.sql. So once you created, script must not be empty. So schema.sql is created. So now we need to uh, create the table in a H2 database. So for that, one second. Now what we can do, how to create the table in SQL, everybody knows, right? Create table and table name. So I am giving table name as a employee. Table name as a employee. So now I am going to create a employee ID. So let me create ID or any ID. Big int. We'll take big int and not null. One column ID and another column I will take first name. It will be varchar, varchar, varchar to varchar 45 will give, and this is also not null. So everybody aware of it, right? SQL simple queries, how to create the table and how to write the script and how to execute the script and how to writing how to write select query and insert query. Everybody aware of it, right? So if you don't have knowledge, so you have to learn it actually. So it's very, very easy only. So one time if you learn, then you can easily create the tables. So create table employee, I'm creating columns. So table will have rows and columns, right? So ID and first name. Now I'm going to create last name. Last name also worker 45. Not null. I am giving first name length will be 45, last name length 45, and then mobile number. Mobile number I will take yeah, big int only. Big int and not null. So not null in the sense value should not be null in the database. Okay. So mobile number and then let me create email. Email also varchar 40. Give me 100. Not, this is also not null. And I'm giving age int and not null. So after that, so let me stop the server since it is not completed. So age is not null, and now I can write okay, primary key. We have to give primary key, right? So primary key, so each and every table will have primary key. So what is the primary key for employee table? I am giving id as a employee table. Employee id will be primary key. So now that's it. Let me save the table. Now our table is ready. So we need to create, if you want to create a table in H2 database, so you need to create schema.hql in resource folder of our application. So you can find there is a resources folder. Inside that we need to create schema.sql file, and inside that we need to write a script for create table. So create table, I am taking a ID column, employee ID column, and first name, last name, mobile number, and email and age. Okay, so I have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tables, so 6 columns I have taken. So primary key will be ID, employee ID. Okay, so now uh, let me start the server. If you start the server, you should not see any exception in console. So there is no exception in console. So our create table employee script will be correct. So if any errors, then our server will not start properly. So our server started successfully. Now let me connect to H2 database console. So whenever you restart the server, so we must log into H2 console. So let me log in. So you can see the moment I log in H2 console database, you can see H2 database, H2 in-memory database, you can see employee table is created. You can see employee table is created. Whenever server starts with SQL, with schema.sql file, and which is having employee table, the moment you start the server, employee table will automatically will create in H2 database. You can see there is a employee table. If you select that employee table and you can run the query, there is a option run button is here, and there is a button here also. So anyone you can just execute. You can see no rows. So as of now our table is not having any data, right? So it is empty. Our table is having empty rows. So table is created successfully. So testing purpose what I will do, I will remove the script from the schema.sql. So if you remove schema.sql, you can see there is an exception here. You can see console Spring Boot framework is throwing exception error creating bean with name data source. So whenever schema.sql is created, so if you start the server, so Spring Boot is trying to connect to database actually. So H2 console database, H2 database. So that time it is looking for create the table. For if SQL file doesn't have any script, then it will throw immediately exception. So now I just copied that script again. Now you can see there is no exception now. So let me stop the server, and then you can start again. So whenever script is available in SQL schema.sql file, so you can see there is no exception in console. So to create table in H2 in-memory database, we need to create schema.sql inside resource folder of application. So the moment you start the server, then you can see H2 database. So I just restarted the server, right? Again, we need to connect. So what is the URL? Which database we are using? Employee database. So what is the URL to connect H2 in-memory database? You can see there is a database URL which is there in our application.property. So same URL we need to give in JDBC URL field. So username will be admin and password will be admin. Now once you connected, you can see there is employee table is created, and now you can query for it. There is no rows in the column in database table. So now we are going to uh, write the code to insert the data in H2 database. So for that, let me open Spring Boot PDF. So you can see during the architecture, Spring Boot architecture. So what are the things we need to create? While creating REST API, we need a controller. What we need? The very first, we need a controller. So let me create controller first. So I'm closing these two files. So right click on your base package, new, and create a package called controller. Controller. Then finish. Similarly, now you can see during our architecture. So if you are Spring Boot architecture, what we need? We need service layer also. So what we need? We need service layer. So let me create service class package as well. New package dot service. So I have created a controller package and service package. During our Spring Boot architecture, so you can see, so who will connect with the database? Repository layer will connect the database. You can see DAO, data access object, or repository layer will connect with database. So we need repository class also. Now I am creating separate package for that. So create package repository. Some people will create a DAO. Some people will create it as a repository. Any package name can be, you can name any name as a package, but general usually in standards, some people will give repository and some people will give DAO. Okay, so now just click on finish button. So I have created three packages. So we are going to create Spring Boot architecture same as is. So one REST API we are going to create, and that REST API is going to connect with H2 in-memory database. So during the flow, what we need? We need controller, we need service, and we need repository. So now I am going to create the controller. Right click on the package, new, create class controller. So what kind of data we are going to store in database? Employee details. Since it is a employee details, I am giving my controller name as a employee rest controller. Employee rest controller. Click on finish button. So once you create a, let me stop the server. So we are writing the code, right? Otherwise, every time whenever you are modifying, it is keep always restarting the server. So instead of that, I just stop the server. So now, so this is our controller class. So if you want to make a class as a REST controller, what you need to do? We need to specify a direct REST controller. That's it. So now we are going to create a REST API to fetch all the employees which are available in database. To fetch all the employees which are available in database. So now, so I'm going to create the API for that. So what I'm going to create? REST API to fetch all the employees which are available in database. Public. So what it will return? So it's need a model class object, right? So we haven't created the model class objects. First, let me create model class object. So for that, again, I'm going to create one more package called model. That's it. So inside the model package, I am going to create class called employee class. What is that class? What is our model object? Employee. Click on finish button. Some people will create employee DTO data transfer object. Some people will create employee VO value object. Some people will create a VO business object. So based on their standards, they will name it as a VO or model object. So here I'm giving plain employee class. That's it. So employee class. Now let me. So employee class will have what are all the columns we have created in database, you can see in H2 database, we have created ID, first name, last name, mobile number, email, and age. Total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties. So let me create those properties in model object. So now private long ID. So private or anything you can give employee ID. Better give to make you understand employee ID. So private string first name, private string last name, private. What is that? We have taken long. What is the next property? Mobile number, email, and age. Mobile number, private, email, right? String, email, private, int, age. 500 int or integer, anything can give. Better give always wrapper type. So integer, age. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties you have created. So now what we need? We need getters and setter methods, right? So let me create getters and setter methods. Right click on the class, source, generate, getter and setter methods. So getter methods are mainly used for to get the data from the object. Setter methods are mainly used for to set the data in object. Okay, so created. Let me override to string method. Generate to string method. So if you see, so we are not creating any constructor because we are not going to hard code the values, right? So data will come from REST client and then data is being set in employee object. So now employee class is ready. Our employee class is ready now. So now here, now I'm going to create API in controller public. So what it will return? So I'm going to create the API. So before that, let me show you what are all the APIs we are going to create. What all the APIs we are going to create? Local host colon. What is the port number? Default port number 8080 slash find all employees. Find all employees is one API. Another API slash another API create employee. What is another API we are going to create? Local host colon 8080. Let me copy, otherwise every time I need to type 8080 slash find by employee ID. Find by employee ID or find employee, anything. Find to better understanding, find employee. Find employee. So another API we're going to create update employee. Next, another API we're going to create delete employee. These are all the CURD operations which we are going to perform on in employee table. Okay. So these are all the APIs we are going to create. Find all employees and create employee and find employee, update employee, delete employee. So everybody knows, right, how to create APIs. So now go to controller public. So find all employees we are going to create. Find all employees, what it will return? So it will return list of employee object. Employee object. Right. So next find all employees is our method name. So method name is find. So here we need to import. So to import, so what is the shortcut? Control Shift O. So the moment you click Control Shift O, imports will automatically return in Eclipse. So now Control yes. So why it is giving return? So this will method will return list of employees. As of now, let me return null. So from here, what we need to do? We need to call service. From here, we need to invoke. We are not going to write business logic in inside the REST controller. We just need to invoke the service class. Okay, so I'm just writing invoke service class. So what? So this is still not done, right? So I'm just to do. So we need to invoke service class. So what is the API name? I have to give, since it is a read request. What is the HTTP request method? Get mapping. So I'm giving find. So what is the name I have given here? Let me copy. Find all employees. Same API we are going to create. Find all employees. So now what we need? We need to create we need to invoke service class here, right? So far we have not written service class. So now let me write the service class. So where we need to write the service class? We have to write service class in service package. There is a package is been created in service package new class. Since it is a employee detail, so I am giving name as a employee service. Employee service. Now click on finish button. So employee service is ready. So from employee service, what are all the methods you should have? So we need to have public void, or better create one interface, or write interface. Yeah, better create interface. So it will be good actually if you create interface. For the time, let it be without interface. Uh, what is the method? We need to write public list of employee, public list of employee, get all employees, get all employees. From here, what we need to call? We are going to call repository layer, right? So as of now, I will give return null. As of now, I will just return null. So because from the service layer, we are going to call employee PLOY, okay? Employee object, just import. So from here, what we need to call? Invoke repository layer. So we need to invoke here repository layer, right? So now better create interface application. Let's start standards, coding standards. So instead of this one, what I will do, I will create interface. Okay, I will create one interface. So interface will have. So let's start. Let's code as a standards. Okay, according to coding standards, we should have interface. Okay, so now what it will have public. So interface will have always uh, abstract methods, right? So public no need to give, because by default in interface, what all the methods we are going to, all the abstract classes are abstract methods are public. So what it will return? List of employee, and I'm going to create find all employees. This is one method. Okay, next, what are all the other APIs we are going to create? Find all employees and create employee. So create employee will return employee object, right? Employee object or void anything. As of now, let me give void create employee. Sorry, abstract method, right? Create employee. So now next, what we need to create? Another API. Let's go there. So find all employees, create employee, and find employee. So let me create another abstract method. Find employee. Find employee in the sense it will return employee object. One employee object, right? Employee, find employee. That's it. So now next what we are going to create? Next update employee. Another method, update employee. So update employee will return. Let me write void as of now. Update employee. Next delete employee, right? Last one. Delete employee. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So implement interface. I have written all the service class methods. So now we need a implementation class, right? So where we need to write the implementation class? Implementation class should be in inside service package and create employee service IMPL. Click on. So what it will extend? Employee service will extend interface, right? So let me add interface. So you can directly add from here also. While creating class itself, you can implement the interface. So there is interface option. Click on add button. So here you just type employee service. So interface came. Just import it. Select it and click OK. That's it. Click on finish button. So the moment you do that, you can see all the methods which are available in interface. All the methods are overridden in employee service IMPL. So now, so who will create our employee service class object? So Spring Boot will take care of it, right? Spring container will create. So to tell Spring container, so to create my employee class object. So how do know Spring container whether Spring container need to create this service class object? Based on, we need to give at the rate. Why it's not giving at the rate? My Eclipse is giving, when I'm typing at the rate, it is giving string codes. Okay, so let me give in this at the rate. What we have to give? Component. The moment you declare it as a component, so whenever server is started, so Spring container will create our bean class object. Okay, so now our service class is ready. We'll write the business logic later. So now service class is ready. So now from service class, what I need to call? Let's go to architecture again. So our controller class is ready now. Service class is ready. So now we need to create repository layer, right? So repository class. So from where we need to invoke? That we need to invoke from service class. So let me create repository layer. So where is that? There, I think I have already created the package repository. Yeah, I have created the package repository. Inside that, I am going to create class employee employee. So we are going to use JDBC, right? So how we are going to insert the data? We are going to insert the data in a H2 in-memory database with the help of JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. So for because of that, I am giving repository layer class name as employee JDBC repository. Okay, so employee JDBC repository. Let me click on finish button. So repository. So here as during the architecture, right? So who will have a database logic? Repository layer. All the database logic will be available in repository layer. So repository layer only is going to connect with the database. So I have created repository. So if you want to make this your class as a repository, there is a annotation. What is that? There is a annotation called @repository. There is a annotation called @repository arg.spring framework.stereotype. So it has @repository annotation. So what will happen? So to differentiate that, so business logic will have service component or @service annotation, and repository layer to connect to the database. We need to give it as a @repository. Okay, now our class become as a repository. So now here repository layer, who is going to connect with the database? Repository layer, DAO layer. DAO in the sense data access object, or repository layer. So repository layer will connect with database. So here only we need to write all the database operations: insert, update, delete, such whatever operations you are going to perform. So we need to write database in logic in repository layer. So let me create. So what are all the operations we are going to do? We are going to do insert, update, and delete and find operations. Whenever working with JDBC, we need to write queries, right? SQL queries. So if you want to insert the data in database, you need to write insert query. Similarly, if you want to fetch the records from the database, you need to write select query. And if you want to update, you need to write update queries, right? So now I am going to write, uh, I am going to create constants for update queries. Okay, queries. Okay, private. What we need to do? Private string. Let me give static. Why? Because why we are giving static? Whenever this class is being used, every time if you don't give static, right? So every time object is being created, and memory also is created every time. So instead of that, the moment one, if you give it as a statics, only memory will be allocated once. That is the reason we are giving as a static, because all the queries always, it will never change in future. So in that case, you need to give it as a static. Public static, and then string select query. So I'm giving name it as a constants. All the constants we have to give it coding standards we have to follow. All the constants we have to give it as a uh, capital letters. Whenever you are creating constants, so we need to name it as a capital letters, and you have to follow the coding standards. Select query, select underscore query. So to fetch all the records from the database, what is the query? So we need to write select star from employee. That's it. What is the query to fetch all the employees from the database? Select star from employee. This is the query. Okay, next. What we need to create another query? Static string. So insert query, right? Insert underscore your query is equal. So what is the how to write the insert query? So now insert into, what is the syntax to write the query for insert? There is a syntax, insert into employee. So here you have to give column names. What are all the columns we have in database? ID, first name, last name, mobile number, email, age. So ID comma first name comma FIRST, first name comma and last name, and then mobile number comma email comma age. So after that, insert into employee values. So we need to give the values, right? So from where values we are going to insert? So data will come from REST client, right? Data will come from REST client. So we need to insert the data dynamically. So that time we have to give it as a question mark. So how many parameters we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 question marks we have to give. So in to insert the data using JDBC, So if you want to insert the data dynamically, so what we need to pass question marks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So since we have 6 columns, we need to give 6 question marks followed by comma. So this is the query for to insert the employee details in database. This is the query: insert into employee, and what is the columns: ID, first name, last name, mobile number, NUM number. I think spell mistake. NUM. Make sure all the columns should be proper. Mobile number. Please. So how about name I have given? Let me check. So mobile number. Yeah, I have given. So mobile number. Mobile number. So after that, so our insert query also ready. So now what next? What are the other queries we need to write? Update query, right? Update or find query. Find, private, private static string, find employee. So query underscore select query, select underscore find underscore employee. Okay, underscore query, query, find employee query. Okay, instead of select not needed, anyway put find employee query. So how we can find the employee? Based on the primary key. So how to write the query? Select star from employee where where ID, employee ID equal to question mark. So employee ID will come from REST client. This is the query to find the employee in database. Select star from employee where ID equal to question mark. Similarly, what we need to write now? Private static string. Uh, Find employee. Now create employee. Create insert query is done, and update query. Let me write update underscore query constants. So how we can update employee details with the help of update query. So how to write update query? Update employee and set. Update employee set. This is the syntax to update the columns in database. Update employee set. So what are all the things we are going to update? First name. So let me copy first name here from here. Okay, first name or first name equal. So from where data will come? REST line. So that's the reason question mark. Similarly, last name equal question mark. Similarly, mobile number equal question mark. Similarly, email equal question mark. Similarly, age is equal question mark. Update employee set first name, last name, mobile number, email, age. So where condition. So we need to update the specific employee. We need a ID, right? Primary key. So where condition. So where where ID is equal question mark. That's it. So this is to update the employee in database. Next, another query. So what query we need to write? Private static string delete query, delete underscore query. So how to delete the record from the database? What is the syntax? delete, delete from employee where ID is equal question mark. That's it. All the queries are ready now. So all the queries are ready now. Now we are going to perform database operation using JdbcTemplate. So before using Spring Boot and Spring Framework, right? So if you want to perform database operations in database. So we are using JDBC, plain JDBC. So we before Spring and Spring Boot, we need to create connection object manually, and we have to create statement object and prepared statement object. So all the lot of logic we have to write before Spring and Spring Boot application. So once Spring framework came into picture, so we no need to write the uh, statement class, and we no need to create the connections, nothing. So Spring framework is providing private to perform database operation using JDBC. Spring Boot is providing JDBC template. There is a class called JDBC template that is available in org.springframework.jdbc.core package. Package is having JDBC template. With the help of JDBC template, we are going to perform all JDBC operations. So internally, the JDBC templates internally it will use all prepared statement and statement same. So whatever logic we are going to write earlier before Spring and Spring Boot application, all the logic internally it will uses those statements only. So Spring framework is optimized JDBC code with the help of JDBC template. So now JDBC template is ready. So so who will create JDBC template object? So we are not going to create the JDBC template object. Who is going to create? So JDBC template object is going to create by Spring container. So what we need to do at the rate auto wire. The moment you declared JDBC template object as a auto wire, then Spring container will create the object. We no need to create. This is called dependency injection. We learn, right? Initial class I started with dependency injection. Okay, so now we are going to perform insert, update, and delete operations. What is the first one? Let me go to which one we are going to write. Find all employees. Find all employees. So let me create find all employees method. So public void. So what it will return? Find all employee objects. Find employee method. It will return list of all the employees. List of employee. Find all employee method. That's it. So what it will return, we need to import the statement, organize the imports. So just Control Shift O. So what it will return? It will return a list of employee objects. So with the JDBC template object, we are going to insert in database, right? So JDBC template object will have to insert the data in database. So JDBC template object is having method called update. You can see there is a method called update method to fetch. So update method you can see here. You can read the description. What update method will do? Issues a single SQL query, single SQL update query or insert query operation such as insert. You can see insert, update, and delete with the help of statement. So with the help of statement, so update method will able to perform insert and update and delete operations. With the help of update method, we are going to perform insert, update, and delete operations. So JDBC template object is having update method to perform insert, update, and delete operations in database. So I am going here. Different kinds of update methods are there. You can see based on your requirement. So you can use respective method based on your requirement. You can select your respective method. For example, if you are going to pass update method with prepared statement, then you have to use this one. If you are going to create with only string, and then you have to use update method, this second update method. So similarly you have number of update methods based on your requirement. We need to pass arguments. You need to select respective update method. So now what we are going to do here, we are going to select all employees from the database. So for that, so we need to map with the result set also, right? So for that purpose, I'm going to use update and then sorry find all method in the sense. So we need we are find all method. So we are update method will always what it will perform update insert and delete only, update insert and delete only. So what the logic we are going to write here, find employees. To find employees we don't need a update method. So we need there is a method called query. There is a method called query. So you can see here query using a prepared statement to read the result set with a result set executor. So you can understand, I will tell you to make you understand easily. So query method is used to fetch the record from database. Query method is used to perform fetch the records from the database. Similarly, you have depends on your requirement, number of methods are there we can use. So let me create fetch the query. So query, so first what is the first statement, we can give insert query. So you can see which method I am going to select. Let me show you update. So there is a SQL query. You can see fourth method. So select query. So first, what is the first argument? String SQL query, and then here result set extract. So we need to fetch the data from the database. We need to each and every row we have to map with result set extractor. So how we are going to do now? We'll see. So you can see. So here first, what is the query? Select query. We have to pass here select query. Next here to fetch all the records there is a new bean property. So what is that? There is a bean property. Why it's not showing? Bean property row mapper, bean property, you can see bean property row mapper. So what this argument will query method is expecting, you can see bean row, each and every row we have to map with row set, result set of row set. Actually you can see here which method we are going to use. SQL query result set, this is the one, fourth one, row set, result set extractor. Here we need to pass specific bean object. You can see prepared statement create can either implement by directly or configured through prepared statement. What it will do, query using to prepare statement reading result set from the database. Okay, so now what we can do, bean property row mapper, bean property row mapper. So we need to pass here as part of bean property row mapper, we need to pass our employee model object. So what will happen, it will automatically map with all the rows with our employee class object. That's it. What you need to do here, return statement. If you practice one time or thrice, you can easily understand. So otherwise, earlier what we are before JDBC template, what we have to do, so we have to write a for loop and then get the result set or while loop. Let's say we used to write like this, while while rs dot next, rs.next result set.next. Like this we have to iterate all the data, right? So we no need to write this kind of logic in spring and spring boot application. So spring framework is optimized with the help of JDBC templates. We just need to provide JDBC template dot query, and then you pass the select statement on map all the rows with bean property row mapper object. So pass your respective POJO object, okay, bean object. That's it. Your model object you need to pass bean property row mapper argument as a constructor argument. That's it. So all the rows is being fetched from the database. So that's it. Now what we can do, find employee method is ready now. So we can write the logic, business logic. So how we can write? So here from during the Spring Boot architecture, controller, from the controller to service, service to repository layer, repository layer will talk to database. So now, so from controller to we need to invoke service class object, right? So I am going to create service class object now. So what is the class name? Employee service. What is the interface which I have created? Employee service. employee, how to create interface object with the help of child class object, right? We are already extending employee service. IMPL is implements employee service. So now employee service, now who will create employee service class object? Who will create Spring container? So we no need to create. So Spring container will create one singleton object. Spring will create one singleton object. For example, 1,000 people are going to access our application. So Spring container always return once employee service object. So one employee service object is going to share with all users who are all going to use our application. So now employee service dot. So what we need to do now? Employee service dot. What is the method we have written in service class? Find all employees. Find all employees. I just invoked from the controller. We need to invoke service class with the find all employees method to return all the employees. Now we can go inside the service class implementation class. So where it is available here, we haven't invoked it. So now what we need to do now? So repository. So repository class is going to invoke from service layer. So repository layer will be invoked from, you can see the architecture again. So repository layer will invoke from service layer. So now what we can do? So we need to invoke here repository layer. To invoke repository layer, we need a repository object. So we need a repository object, private. So what is the repository name? Employee repository, employee JDBC repository, employee JDBC repository. Who is going to create object? Spring Boot container @autowire. That's it. So now we just need to invoke from service class object, employee JDBC service dot find all employees. Our business logic is ready now. So service class will always have to invoke repository layer. So now from controller to service, you can see controller. I have created employee service object. Then employee service dot find employees. Now go to implementation of service class. Of service class, I am invoking is repository layer. Employee JDBC repository I have created in service layer, and then I am invoking repository layer from service class. Okay, so our requirement is fulfilled, right? Controller to service to repository layer. So repository layer will connect with database. Repository layer will connect with database. How it will connect? With the help of repository layer dot find all. You can go there now again. Implementation of business class in repository layer. So repository layer JDBC template is going to connect with the database. With the help of JDBC template, in repository layer will connect with database. So now one API is ready now. So let's try to invoke the API. Let me start the server. So if you start the server, you should not see any exceptions. You can see there is no exceptions in console. So that means, what does it mean? Our service class object and a controller class object and repository objects, all the objects are created successfully. Okay, so now what I will do now, I will just go to the browser and then type. So let's see, localhost, sorry, local, I have created a closed it. So let me open new tab and then localhost. What is the API? Find all employees, enter. You can see there is a find all API which we have created. I am just invoking from browser directly. Since it is a get request, I am invoking from browser. You can see empty list is been returned. Empty list is been returned. Why? Now H2 database, let me log in again. So, since server is started, so we need to relog in to H2 console. So the moment you log into H2 console, you can see employee table is having nothing. There is no records, right? So employee table is not having any records. That is the reason. So API is returning empty result, empty list object. Okay, so now let's create the employee. Let's create the employee. So how we can create the employee? Same way. So let me create now. Write another business method in repository. Sorry, controller later I will write. First, let me complete JDBC repository. Okay, in repository. So let me stop the server. Otherwise, it is keep disturbing for us whenever we are writing the code. Right. So now let me write insert business logic. Okay, public. So void as of now. Let me void. So what you can do? Create employee method. Create employee method in repository layer. Create employee method. So create employee method. So here, so what? Who is going to create with? So we going to create employees so with the help of JDBC template. So again, JDBC template. So I already explained you what is the method to create the employee update method. You can see update method single SQL query such as insert, update, or delete operation. To perform insert or update operation, you can see each and every method description is given by default. You can see, okay, each and every method, what it will contains, what it will do, what are the arguments, and what it will return. Everything it will be given in document description. You can see here. Okay, update method is going to perform insert, update, and delete operation. So I'm going to create the employee. So let me create the employee. So to create the employee, what is the object we are going to pass? Employee object, right? So employee object. So now update, we need to pass. You can see there is a object, fourth method. SQL query is there and object arguments. So arguments. So you can see number of arguments we can pass with the help of all question parameter. You can see here how many parameters we need to pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6 parameters we need to pass to insert the data. So update query will have, you can see update query will have, there is a method, just control space update query. So SQL query, so insert query you need to pass first as a first argument, and second one you can pass the remaining the data which we are going to insert in database. Now that is a number of arguments. Okay, object, now array of objects. So now you can see here. Now what is the query to insert the database? This is the query we have written, insert underscore query to insert the data in employee table. So let me pass insert underscore query comma. So what all, now we need to pass the data. How we can pass? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 parameters with the help of employee object. Employee dot get, first I will pass employee ID. Next, I will pass employee dot get first name. Similarly, employee dot get last name. Here we are passing the data. We are passing the data to insert query. So now, next employee dot what is that? Next mobile number. Get mobile number. After that, employee dot get email. I think email. Yeah, email. So after that, last one. What is the last one? Comma employee dot get age. That's it. So now code is look very big, right? Very lengthy. So we need to format it. How we can format that code in the Java code class? Control A, Control Shift F. The moment Control A, Control Shift F you do, code will rearrange with readable format. So now insert query is ready now. Insert query I have passed as a argument. With the help of update method, you can see employee ID, first name, last name, mobile number, email, and age. So now insert method, create employee method is available in repository layer. So let's see, let me see what this method will return. Update method, you can see update method will return int. You can see update method will return int. That means what? So if record is inserted in database, it will return 1. If record not inserted in database, it will return as a negative value, I think, negative value or 0. So it is returning as a int value. So let me write it as a int. So this will return as a int return. That's it. So now let me go to service class object. So create employee. I am going to invoke repository layer dot create employee. So what we need to pass create employee as part of the create employee object. You can see create employee object. We need a employee object, right? Model object. So I'm just passing employee object. That's it. So here we need to pass employee object from where this data will come from the REST client. Employee create employee. That's it. So employee object we need to pass as part of create employee method in repository layer. That's it. You can see create employee repository layer. Create employee business method is ready now. So from the controller now we can write an API to insert the data. Public. So how we can insert? So what it is going to return? Int. So update method is returning int. That's the reason I'm giving int. Now what is the method name? Create employee API we are going to create. So who is going to return here? Employee service. Employee service we have to invoke from controller employee service dot get. So get or find or create employee. I think service method we have not invoked. Invoked a create employee. Yes, we have invoked create employee in service method. Create employee is available. So now go to controller. So what we need to do? Create employee. That's it. What it contains? Employee object. So from the REST client. So how we can get the data? At the rate request body and then employee we have to give. That's it. So this employee object we need to pass as part of create employee method. So still why it is giving error? Create employee, see, cannot return void. Okay, so because in service class service method I am returning void, right? So that's the reason is giving error. Go to employee service class object. So create employee, let me return. Since it update method is returning int, then our service class object also is going to return int. That's it. So now we have to give return statement. That's it. People are got right. So now create employee is ready. All the business logic is we have written successfully from the controller. Go to service layer. Service layer is calling repository layer and employee object is going to pass as part of create employee method. Then again go inside. So here in repository layer you have business logic to insert the data. Database logic. Database logic to insert the data. Now let me create the API. So what is this? So since it is inserting the data from the REST client, so what is the HTTP method? Post mapping, and I'm giving uh, employee. I'm giving employee argument. I'm passing it as API employee create employee. What is this? What is the API name? Create employee. That's it. So now we can invoke the data from REST clients. Guys, I think time is over. So let me insert one data and then we'll continue tomorrow. Let me go to open Postman. So once you from where we can pass the data, Postman. Let me start the server. So if you start the server, you can get to know is there any errors in console. Check. No errors in the console. So our server started successfully. So what you can do? So here you have to write create. So what is the API? One second. Let me go on call. here. What is the API name? Create employee. Just go there, copy create employee. And what is the HTTP method name? Post method. What is the HTTP request method? Post method. And from where we need to pass as part of body. So here we need to, so currently we don't have any data, right? So what is the format to pass the data? So key value pair. So what is the first column? Let me check what is the name I have given in DTO. Pojo class, what you have given? Employee ID. Just you need to give it as a employee ID. Colon, I'm giving one. What is the second one? Second parameter, first name, FIRST, first name. First name, I am going to give it as a Rasul. Next, what is the other name? Second, third column, last name, last name. Check. Next, what is the other column? Mobile number, colon, 035160783. So next, what is the other column? Email. Email only, right? Let me check. Email and age. Email. So email I'm giving. Test at air.com. Some test email I have given. Okay. So now, what is the next, the last column? Age. So I'm going to pass 40. Okay. So total how many columns? Employee ID, first name, last name, mobile number, email, and age. Now, I have started the server, right? Now you can go to H2 console, log into H2 console. So admin, connect, and then you can see, you can select the query. Click on employee table. There is no data available in database. Now I am going to send the request from Postman. Successful internal error. So why error came? There is a syntactical error in SQL, bad SQL grammar exception. There is a SQL syntax error. Let me try. Why it is giving SQL syntax error? Let me read. Prepared statement SQL insert into employee. There is a exception VA values. Yes, see, you can see employee value I have given. What is the exact syntax? It should be VALUES. So that's the reason it is throwing exception. So what we need to give? So insert into VALUES, insert into employee values. Insert into employee values. Again, server is started. VALUES 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 arguments we have passed. Now let me log into H2 console. Why I am logging to H2 console? I am going to show you initially how many records are there. Nothing is there. 0 rows. So now let me send the request again. Let me send the request again. You can see it is returning response came. Response came with one in the sense. So one record is inserted in database successfully. How we can check now? Go to H2 console, run the query. Click on run button. You can see one record is inserted successfully in database. Now let me insert another record to, and I'm giving as a Ramesh M. Give some random number or 6 or something. Okay. So now test mail. Now instead of that Ramesh at gmail.com. Age I will give as a 30. I am going to insert another record. Ramesh, let me send the request. I got the success response. Go to H2 console, then execute the query. You can see 2 records are inserted in database. So now fetch the find employees. you can see find employees. Why employee ID is coming null? We'll check why employee ID is coming null. Go there. Why employee ID is coming null? We'll check employee ID. Okay. So find all employee, create employee, find all employees, go to employees. So find all employees, go to the location. So here select query. What is the select query? Select star from employee. So employee where ID is equal question mark. So we'll see tomorrow. Okay, guys, it's already time is over. I will check why employee ID is coming null. If you possible, try by yourself. Okay, I will give this exercise to you. Try yourself why employee is coming null. You identify. Okay, we'll catch you tomorrow. This is how we need to insert the data in H2 console. This is how we need to insert the data in H2 console. Okay, guys, I have to go outside, so we'll catch you tomorrow.